Now that we've got all of our queries working, more or less, let's start to scale up our application by inserting a ton of data into it and then running some queries over it just for fun. Inside my project directory, I'm going to find the src folder. Here it is right here. And then once it's open, I'm going to open up the seeds.js file. Here we go. This file right here contains a bunch of code to add a ton of different artists to our artist collection. If I scroll down a little bit, you'll find a function called create artist. And inside of here, it generates a bunch of data, everything that a fake artist contains. You'll see a lot of references to something called Faker. So here's faker.name, faker.image, faker.internet, blah, blah, blah. If I scroll back up to the top of the file, you'll see that I imported the Faker library. I specifically want to mention Faker because it's something that is just fantastic whenever you are putting together personal projects of your own. The Faker library is made for generating a ton of randomized fake data, and it's what powers just about everything having to do with fake data inside of this project. So it generates the name, image, URL, company name, Boolean, date, copy sold, album image, all these great things, all generated by the Faker library. So I just wanted to point it out to you. You can find some documentation on it by going to npmjs.org and then doing a search for Faker. So if we go here, here's npm, and then we can search for Faker. And then the first result, actually the second one, there's capital F Faker and lowercase Faker. So I'm going to go to the lowercase Faker, and you can find some documentation here about how this library works. So again, I just want to point out to you because I found that it's incredibly helpful whenever you are testing data or testing applications to have a bunch of fake data sitting in your database so you can test stuff like speed and whatnot, like how long do these queries really take. So with that in mind, let's go back up to the top of this seeds file, and we're going to add in a couple, many thousand more artists to our application. So at the very top of this file are two different variables. There's minimum artists and then artists to add. Minimum artists is the number of artists that the application should have at any given time. And then artists to add is how many should be added if the number of artists is less than whatever this minimum artist is. So I want to say that in my application, I want to add in let's say, 15,000 users. I'm going to generate 15,000 artists and add them all to our artist collection. Then I'm going to also make sure that I increase my minimum artists from 2 right now. If I go back to my app, you can see that I have only 12 total at this point. So I just need to make sure that I enter a value that's greater than the 12 that's shown right there. So I'm going to say minimum artists, I need to at least have 200. So that will make sure the minimum artists right here will make sure that we go through the process of adding new artists, and then artists to add of 15,000. That'll make sure that we add the correct number to our database. Okay, so to get this thing to run, all we have to do is refresh our application. So I'm going to flip back over to our app. I'll hit refresh, and this may or may not take longer or shorter than you'll expect. Let's see how long it takes. Remember, we are adding 15,000 records to our database right now. Yours might take significantly longer or shorter than my own. Completely random. Who knows how long it's going to take. Okay, we'll let all right, fantastic. I was going to say let's take a break, but all right, not bad. So 15,000 artists, all randomly generated and then inserted into our database. Above all, I want to take this kind of experience right here, and I want to point out to you that for the vast majority of applications that you are ever going to work on, if it is a personal project, take that right there as evidence that you don't always need to worry about performance as a number one characteristic. We just randomly generated and inserted 15,000 records in probably 5 or 10 seconds. I know it took a while, but remember that it always takes a while for our app to refresh. And so the process of adding those 15,000 records, that was pretty quick, right? So do not try to prematurely optimize your application when it comes to the database. A lot of the things that we end up doing for the average application, which is probably not going to have thousands or millions of records sitting in Mongo, you're probably going to be okay on the performance side. Anyways, just want to throw it out there. So now, if we do a search for name, and I'm going to pick a random name out of here, like how about Aaron? Okay, now we start to have a lot of records inside of here. Also, if we submit again, empty out the list, and we filter down to like just ages 15 to 19, all right, now we're starting to get a ton of data sitting inside of our database. And you'll notice that these queries are very, very fast, right? They're very, very quick. If I do Aaron again, yeah, that's instantaneous right there. That's about as fast as it gets. Cool, so this definitely looks like it's working out pretty well. I'm going to go back to the full list of records. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and you'll notice that we got the page down here. So it looks like we can definitely increment through all of our different pages, and again, it's very quick, which is very nice. However, if I go back to just searching for Aaron, like so, I still, it says here 15,000 records found, and it makes me think that I can go to the next page. And as a matter of fact, if I click it, definitely not expected. So clearly there is still something funny in our application over how the total number of records are handled. So let's take a quick break and then come back and fix up our search artist function to make sure that we're handling this count thing in here correctly.